Hello there. Greetings, visitors to and denizens of the YouTubeverse. I'm John, your sociable hermit in the woods, and in this video, I wanted to talk about some of the options you might have for heating your minivan camper in cold weather. So stay tuned.
But let's start off at the beginning, which is, we'll assume that you've gone ahead and built yourself a minivan camper because, well, it just seemed like a fun thing to do. And you know what? While the weather's nice, it sure is a fun way to travel. Only, what do you do now? It's not nice in summer like it was, so you need some way to keep the minivan warm.
Before we get going, the usual caveats apply. I'm not paid to endorse anything, and nobody's given me any of the following devices for free. What I'm saying here is my own personal opinions. Use your own judgment, especially with regards to safety, and I'm going to comment on that. Okay, well, your first and simplest choice is going to be an electric heater. You can get a small electric heater like this for maybe $30, $35. They're good for a kilowatt and a half out. They've got adjustable heat output, and it's also thermostated, which is nice. It'll switch itself on and off as needed. And really, this is kind of ideal. If you're someplace where you can run an extension cord out a window and plug this in, I'm thinking this is really the way to go. Cheap, simple, a little bit noisy when it runs, but it'll keep you warm and comfortable in there all night long, and you don't have to think about it too much. But what do you do if you don't have electricity around? Okay, well, one of the things you see suggested is trying to use candle lanterns. Like this is a UCO. This is the type you most commonly see suggested. If you're not familiar with these run the candle itself in a spring-loaded cartridge inside, so the flame is always up at the top. They're safe because they're nicely encapsulated in a little glass chimney here. They've got a way to hang, and as a hiking gadget, they're really nice. I like mine. I've had it for probably 25 years. A couple of concerns. First is I'm aware of what UCO claims the heat output is on this. They claim around 1500 BTUs. I have a little bit of skepticism there because average output on a candle is around 200 BTUs. And I wonder where the very large difference comes from. I haven't tried to use it as a heat source in the camper, and I suspect it's just not really going to be as much as I would like. The second issue with these is that they do take a proprietary candle, which is kind of the right density of paraffin to work with this spring-loaded magazine follower system. They're not incredibly expensive, but they're not super easily available. You have to order these ahead or go into large outdoor stores to get them. It's not the sort of thing where you can just drop into any little hardware store anywhere and get one of these. If you like this idea, but heat output from one isn't enough, they do make a larger version of this same thing, same sort of retracting design, but with three of these in there. Again, even with three of them, I'm still suspicious of the total heat output. Obviously better, but I still think kind of low. And you have the issue of you got to get these candles. The candles themselves, whether it's one or three, doesn't matter, are good for around 8 to 9 hours of burn time. So there you go. Okay, so option number one. One thing I should point out is if you're going to switch from electric to any of the combustion type methods, a couple of things to keep in mind. One is you're going to have to open a window a little bit. You probably had to do that with the electric one anyways to run an extension cord in, but you absolutely have to run an air source if you're going to use a combustion type heater. And the second is, even with that, I think it's very foolish to do this without having a carbon monoxide alarm. You can buy these now. Home improvement places have off-the-shelf ones. look kind of like a smoke detector, and they're about $30. So certainly if you're going to use any sort of combustion type heat source in your minivan, you need to be very careful that it's not going to set anything else on fire or melt it. And carbon monoxide is not a joke. It will kill you if you are not careful. So carbon monoxide alarm, window open. Okay, well, the next thing you could use is something called a buddy heater. Buddy, I don't know the name of the company, maybe just Buddy Heater Incorporated, make a couple of different versions of a small portable propane heater. I have one of them, the smallest one they make, the Little Buddy, and I use it over in my off-grid tool shed for heating that. And they're fantastic. They have two heat output settings at 5,000 BTU and 2,500 BTU. They're well made. They light quickly. I've just been really, really happy with mine. But in the minivan setting, I think they're physically a little bit larger than I would like. They're going to be kind of clumsy and get in the way. And honestly, I think 5,000 BTUs is too much most of the time, and even 2,500 is going to be, in a lot of situations, more than I would really like. So ideally, I would like something like that, but with a little less heat output. Well, it turns out you're in luck, because there's a company in South Korea called Kovea, and they make something called the Kovia Cupid heater. Comes in a cute little box, and I will take this out. The instruction manual is 100% in Korea, except for the word push in big letters, which relates to the control dial. Everything else, you either need to get some help or you're on your own. Okay, so if you take this out of the box, what is it? Well, this is similar in concept and design to the buddy heaters, but it's a lot smaller. It has a leg that retracts out there and a handle that drops down there. And these run off of butane canisters. Now, butane canisters are not my favorite fuel source. However, it turns out with the way I built my minivan that this is the fuel source I use for my galley stove and for my barbecue. So I'm already carrying these. These are readily available. You can go into any hardware store, Walmart, Canadian Tire, even most gas stations here in BC, and get these. So they are readily available. So with this, you just plug one of these in the side. There's a little guide notch here. Put it in and engage it. And then over on the side, you've got a control knob. You know, the thing with the push command in English. Okay, so all you do is push in and turn. And you probably can't hear that, but that is on and instantaneous heat coming out. So what are the specs on this? This will do about 3,000 BTU wide open, so a little bit more than half of a buddy heater. But it's continuously adjustable all the way down to about 1,000 BTU or a little bit less. So you can adjust it to where you want. It's supposed to go around 4 hours total runtime on the low setting, and a little bit over 2 hours, I guess, 2.5 hours roughly on the high setting, which doesn't seem to quite work with the 1,000 to 3,000 BTU, but those are the numbers you hear. So, a couple of comments on this. The handle back here stays cool in use, in my experience. You don't have a problem with that if you want to pick it up and move it, or when you turn it off, if you need to pick it up and move it, that's good. I've run this for fairly long periods of time, and the underside of the heater and the sides of it do not get hot. They don't even get more than room temperature warm. Almost all of the heat comes out right here at the front, and it's very hot there. You don't want to leave your hands there. But it's in a very small contained area, so this is easy to find a spot to put it in your minivan and use it. where the heat's not going to cause a problem. And the whole thing doesn't take up a lot of space. I'm going to have to turn this off here. It is just getting way too warm. So to turn it off, you just turn the knob there, and it turns itself off. Let it cool down a bit. Again, as I said, you can pick it up by the handle and move it around at this point easily. So how well does it work? A couple of weeks ago, it was minus 20 out, and I got this out, put it in the minivan, and I gave it a try. And with the window cracked down, what I can say is that by 15 minutes at full power on this, it was comfortable enough that I could take my jacket off. It wasn't quite as warm as you'd like, let's say if you were going to be going to sleep for the night, but I think another 15 minutes, so 30 minutes total at minus 20, would have given me all the heat I wanted to warm it up. What does that tell me? Well, I don't usually expect to be using the minivan at minus 20, but even if you were, I think using this right before you went to bed, maybe once or twice for 15, 20 minutes in the middle of the night, and then right before you get up in the morning, switch it on again for maybe a half an hour would be all you would want. So all told, an hour and a half's total use. So you would get probably between 1 to 2 days usage in real cold weather out of a butane canister on this. When you're done, you let it cool down, it packs away in that box, and it slides down under your seat. So kind of all the advantages of the buddy heater, but a lot smaller, and you're using the same fuel system as, in my case, as I'm using for my stove and my barbecue. So there you have it, the Covia Cupid. If you're doing a minivan build, you might want to think about one.
Until next time, this is John, your sociable hermit in the woods. Thanks for watching.